All right, let's get straight into it. Today, we're tackling a topic that's fundamental for your FRE1 exam, the role of money. I mean, we use it every single day, right? But to ace your exams, you need to know exactly how it works and, why we even have it in the first place. So let's start right at the beginning.
It sounds like a bit of a joke question, doesn't it? But really think about it, why not? Imagine the chaos of trying to figure out how many chickens your morning flat white is worth. What if the barista is a vegan and doesn't want chickens at all? This whole idea gets right to the very heart of the problem that money was invented to solve. So to really understand money, we have to rewind the clock a bit. We're going back to a time before cash, before cards, back to the age of bartering.
Bartering is basically the original way of doing business. It's a simple, direct trade. A farmer who has way too many eggs could swap them with a gardener who's got a surplus of vegetables. It works, but only if the gardener actually wants eggs. This little problem is called the double coincidence of wants, and trust me, it's a massive headache. You can see how the system starts to fall apart as soon as communities get bigger and trade gets more complicated. How on earth do you barter for something huge, like a house? How many thousands of chickens is that? And how do you get change? It became obvious pretty quickly that a much better, more efficient system was needed to help everything grow.
And that better system, of course, is money. But here's the thing, and this is a core concept for your exam, so really tune in for this part. For something to actually be money, it has to do 3 very specific jobs. Yep, for anything to be called money, it has to pass a 3-part test. It has to act as a medium of exchange, a unit of account, and a store of value. So let's break down what each of those jobs actually involves. First, and honestly, this is the most important one, it's a medium of exchange. This is what solves our chicken problem. Instead of trading your chickens for coffee, you trade your work for money, and then you use that money to buy coffee. Simple. Everyone agrees to accept it, which makes the whole process of trade incredibly smooth. Second, it's a unit of account. Without it, how would you even begin to compare the value of a sandwich to a car? Money gives us a standard yardstick. We all know a 3-quid sandwich is worth a whole lot less than a 10,000-pound car. It lets us put a price on things and understand what they're worth without having to calculate everything in, chickens or eggs. And third, it's a store of value. You can't really save chickens for 10 years. They wouldn't be very useful by then. But money? Money lets you save the value you create today and spend it way off in the future. Now, the note on this slide is absolutely crucial for your exam. While money does store value, rising prices, inflation, can actually reduce what that money can buy over time. Okay, so we know the 3 jobs money has to do. But what makes something, whether it's a seashell, a gold coin, or a polymer banknote, actually suitable for doing those jobs? Well, it has to have some very specific qualities. So for money to work properly, it really needs these 4 things. There has to be enough of it circulating for everyone. Pretty much everyone has to agree to accept it. It's got to be divisible, right? So you can buy a $3 coffee and not just a $10,000 car. And finally, you have to be able to actually carry it around. Gold is valuable, for sure, but trying to haul a bar of it to the supermarket isn't exactly practical. All right, we've covered what money is and what makes it tick. But in our modern financial world, the whole idea of money goes way, way beyond just the cash in your wallet. This is a really key distinction to get your head around. Legal tender, we're talking banknotes and coins here, has a special status. If you owe someone a debt, they are legally required to accept it as payment. But think about how you pay for things day to day. You probably use a debit card or maybe a bank transfer. These are obviously widely accepted, but a shop isn't legally forced to take them. They can say cash only if they want to. And this really shows you the bigger picture. When economists talk about the money supply, they're not just counting the physical cash. Not at all. They're also including all the digital money that's sitting in our current accounts, our savings accounts, and even some investments that can be turned into cash really easily. Now, in any economy, you basically have 2 main groups. First, you've got people and companies who have extra money that they don't need to spend right now. This is called the surplus sector. And on the flip side, you have people and businesses who need money that they don't currently have. Maybe it's someone buying a house with a mortgage or a business trying to expand. This, as you can probably guess, is the deficit sector. So what connects these 2 groups? Well, that's the whole point of the financial services industry. I really like this quote from the syllabus. It says, "The industry oils the wheels of commerce." Its main job is to take all those savings from the surplus sector and channel them over to the deficit sector as loans and investments. That's what keeps the whole economy ticking over.
Which brings us to our final section. Money has already evolved from chickens to coins to the digital numbers on our banking apps. So what's next? Well, the huge conversation happening right now is about a potential digital pound.
And this isn't science fiction, it's a very real discussion. As you can see from this timeline, the Bank of England and the UK Treasury have been seriously looking into the idea of a central bank digital currency, or CBDC, for a few years now. They're basically trying to figure out if this is the right next step for our money. Now, a really common point of confusion is how a CBDC is different from something like Bitcoin. This table makes it super clear. The number one difference is who's in charge. A digital pound would be issued and backed by the Bank of England, just like cash is today. It's centralized. Cryptocurrencies, on the other hand, are decentralized. They're run by private networks, and their value is based purely on what the market thinks they're worth.
Okay, we've covered a ton of ground there, so let's quickly run through the absolute must-know points for your FRE1 exam.
Make sure you are absolutely solid on these definitions. Understand the problems with bartering. Memorize those 3 functions of money. That's a classic exam question right there. Know the specific meaning of legal tender, and be ready to explain what a CBDC is and how it's different from crypto.
And I'll leave you with a final thought to mull over. As we move into an even more digital financial world, which of those 3 original jobs of money, medium of exchange, unit of account, or store of value, do you think is the most essential one to protect and get right? Something to think about. Thanks so much for watching, and good luck with your studies.